it did clear up. We've got some blue skies. An interesting thing in the way these lava caves are formed. Really, that's what we came up here for, was to get some fishing in. It's just incredible experiences that you get to have when you come out here. We found 5 more moose along the trail. Hiking in, and the views that we could see kept us moving along. Look at that beautiful fish. That's the first one of the day. It's actually the highest lake in all of Idaho. And it's just dropping off on both sides of you. Man, look at all the meat I'm taking home there. Did you guys have a good time?
Yeah!
Well, Nathan, good job. Thanks for calling that in, Warren. It's time for another episode of Jared Scott Outdoors. This week on Jared Scott Outdoors, we're out after fish. Now, we're up in Island Park, and we're at a lake called Sheridan Lake. Now, this is a privately owned lake, but I'll tell you what, the fish here are phenomenal. This is something I came up here 6 years ago for, and we filmed it then, and it's a fishing experience that I haven't forgotten. And so I'm really excited to get back up here. Now, Sheridan Lake is actually managed through Eagle Ridge Ranch, and you saw a couple weeks ago we went up to Eagle Ridge Ranch and we spent a good time there with the family and had a great family experience. Now, this is a little bit different kind of experience. This is a private lake. They only let a certain amount of fishermen on per day, but the fish here, it's just something you'll never forget. They're just incredibly hard fighting and very big fish. So we're going to talk more about it. We're going to get out there and show you more about it, and we're just going to have a great show. This week's episode is brought to you in part by Jim Williams with the Idaho Falls Miracle-Ear Center.
My name is Rance Dye. We work here at Eagle Ridge Ranch. We also guide a trout hunter. We come out here to this 33,000 acre ranch. It's an enjoyable place. We have a lot of rainbows, a few cutthroats, and some brook trout here in the water.
We were lucky enough to have the help of some experienced guides, Rance Dye and Carlos Chavez. They guide on many of the incredible rivers and lakes in and around Island Park, including Sheridan Lake for those that want to experience the action only Sheridan can offer. After putting in, Rance and Carlos wasted no time in heading off in the direction the fish were in. As most other lakes in August, Sheridan had a fair amount of algae in the water, so we were heading toward the lake's inlet where the water is still clear and cold. Coming along to fish Sheridan Lake was Steve with Camp Chef, which means we'll be eating well for lunch. Josh Lopez, manager of the Commercial Tire in Rexburg, and friend Brett High were also along. While Steve came here with me 6 years ago, Josh and Brett had no idea how good the fishing was going to be. However, they were soon going to find out. While Josh is an avid fisherman, until now he had no experience with fly fishing. I figured this would be the perfect place to break him into it. The first guy to hook up was Steve. Now, if you know Steve, if he has spare time, there's a good chance he's out casting a fly somewhere. So he was right in his element. I bet it took 10 minutes with a handful of misses and broken flies before this fish was caught and released. But it seemed that was all we needed, and the bite was on. Josh was next as he hooked into his first fish on a fly rod.
Come on, baby. This is awesome. Never caught a fish on a dang fly reel before. Look at him. Oh, this is awesome. This is awesome.
Of course, with this being his first fish on a fly, a picture was definitely in order.
Let's do that again.
Shortly after Josh released his, Brett hooked into his first of the many he would catch.
I got a fish on there. Good one. Very cool. Ooh, he's still feisty.
While this looks like just another fish, it's actually a 25 to 26 inch trout that just hung out below us, ignoring everything we threw near it. But that just gives you an idea of what can be caught here. In fact, we were told about fish being caught in the 28 inch range. With trout rising everywhere around us, it was just a matter of time before one would slurp in our flies. I finally got my first one here. You really have to fight one of these for yourself to feel how hard they fight for their size. Okay, there he is. He's not a big one, but he's a fighter. I'll tell you what, until you come out here and fight these things, you know, something like this feels like he's about 20 inches. He came out of the water a couple times. For whatever reason, they just fight like crazy here.
I don't think he knows he's hooked, but this is a good fish. He seems like he has a lot of fight in him.
While Brett was fighting his, we had a double. I looked over and saw Josh fighting his second fish.
Whoa. Whoa. Oh, man. Awesome.
Look carefully and you'll notice a dozen fish swimming away from our boat as we scooted closer to the other guys. The average fish ranged from between 16 to 20 inches. Of course, with us being so close to these ones, they wouldn't be taking our flies, but there were plenty more a little further out that would. You gotta like that when you catch one, cast back out, and 10 seconds later, hook another one.
Beautiful fish.
I'll tell you what, Josh was really getting into this fly fishing thing, and with the way these Kamloops trout bite and then fight, who could blame him?
I got the black sheep right here.
See what I mean? A minute later, he was fighting another one. This one was a darker colored trout that stood out from all the others.
Look at this guy. Whoa.
Nice
Yeah.
fish.
Whoa, he's running, he's running.
What do you got going on there? There you go. Nice. Oh!
He was all gray with the black head. Oh.
I think it was a muskrat.
Yeah.
With the mountains surrounding the lake and rising fish all around us, this is truly a beautiful setting to catch fish in. To keep the lake a quality fishery, it's all catch and release. Another measure in place to keep the fishing experience positive is that they only let about 8 fishermen on the lake on any given day. There were a couple other boats on the lake with us that also found the inlet area to be the best spot today, and they were into the fish just as much as we were. Well, I'll tell you what, if you've got a family member or a friend, somebody that you want to get into fly fishing and show them a good positive experience right off the bat, this is definitely the place. You know, as Josh can attest over there, he's just catching fish and loving it, and we are here too. Brett was dialed in on what the trout were hitting as he consistently pulled in fish after fish all morning.
They do fight good here.
In fact, take note of the elbow brace. He fought enough fish today to make his elbow sore.
It's a good time out here, Jared. I highly recommend it. This is fun.
As the day progressed, the fishing only seemed to improve. In fact, at any given time, there was usually someone fighting or breaking off a fish with lots of doubles going on.
Oh, man, these fish fight hard. Good thing I put a brace on this morning, or I'd be crying right now. That is a feisty fish. That's the best fight I've had this year. I couldn't keep up with it. It hit and I was just stripping and stripping, trying to get tight on the line, and I couldn't. Oh yeah, it's a big fish, Jared. They just don't give up here. Fighting a snap. Nice. This is an amazing, productive lake. These fish grow like mad. They're rainbows, they fight hard, and with the low pressure they get here, this is just a great place to fish. All right, girl, you go and do that again sometime. That was fun.
Once again, while Brett was fighting his 20-incher, Josh was battling his own that would prove to be over the 20-inch mark.
Oh, first time touching a fly rod, and I don't think I'm ever going back. What an amazing experience. The way he just came up out of the water and just, I can't believe how strong. Just a lot of fight, a lot of stamina, a lot more stamina than what I'm used to. Awesome.
When the fishermen have caught so many fish that they pass the pole over to the guide so he can get in on the action, you know it's been a good day. And that's exactly what happened in both our boats. The fishing was so good that when it came time to head in for lunch, no one wanted to leave. Lunch could wait for another hour, or 2, or 3 as it turned out. If it wasn't for the fact that we would be fishing the river section after lunch, I think I would have been thrown overboard when I suggested finally calling it quits after 3 p.m. to let Steve prepare the meal he planned to cook with the Camp Chef gear. It's time now for Camping Out, brought to you by OK Trailer Sales. Slow down, take some time, and enjoy the journey of life with OK Trailer and Shelley. This week's OK Trailer Campground of the Week is the Box Canyon Campground, located in the center of Island Park. As you head through Island Park, a sign for the turnoff is right off the highway and you can't miss it. This is a single loop campground located among mature pines on the canyon rim. Being close to Henry's Fork, this is a good spot if you plan on a little fishing. Of course, hiking or motorized trail riding can also be done in many places, and the close proximity of Henry's Lake, Island Park Reservoir, and Yellowstone Park make this a great place to camp. This is a pay-to-camp location with 17 sites that can be reserved. Tenters and RV campers are welcome with tables, grills, and fire pits at each site. Of course, vault toilets are also within the campground. Now back to the show. I'll tell you what, we practically had to drag Josh off of the lake because the fishing was so hot. In fact, it's almost 4 o'clock, if that tells you anything, and we're finally getting to lunch. It's just hard to leave it when the fishing's so good, but either way, we've got the river section now here. So Steve's working on lunch, we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna come and see if we can't catch some fish here. and kind of see how that goes. While Steve was cooking lunch, Steve Hyde, who manages the Eagle Ridge Ranch and fishing on Sheridan Lake, showed us the kids' hole. This is on the river section and has a couple dozen fish that have become used to being fed pellets. They were fun to watch, especially because it gave us an idea of the size of fish we'd be catching once we started fishing upstream. There were also some interesting old buildings to browse through on the property, like this line of old cowboy shacks for the hands that used to run this ranch that still runs thousands of cattle. The most interesting, however, is the old barn that was an original building for the stage stop going to West Yellowstone back in the day. In fact, inside not only will you find the old stalls that were used, but you'll see a surprising amount of tack and gear still hanging on the hooks and walls. Of course, the leather is all dried and cracked rock hard, but it does give you a glimpse into an era long forgotten.
Alright, so we've got some pork tenderloins on right here on the grill. We turned it down just a little bit to slow it down. We just did some tri-tip, some pieces of tri-tip, not the whole tri-tip roast. We've sliced it up. We've got potato salad, macaroni salad, and I neglected to mention, guys, save room for dessert. We also have dessert, so there's no reason you can't eat good while we're out here on the river, right? I mean, I know we've all had plenty of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and different things like that, and that's all right. Not when Camp Chef's along, that's not all right. We're gonna eat good today.
Sometimes when you head out for outdoor adventures, space is an important consideration. Steve used a single burner stove with a matching grill box to keep the bulk down, but the stove's cooking power high, as he prepared another great meal. It's always a treat when Steve's along for the adventure because we always eat so well. It's time for the Outdoor Tip of the Week, brought to you by Element Outfitters. They've officially gone online to allow our viewers outside of Pocatello the ability to order all your gear right from home. As long as we have Steve here today, I want to take advantage of his cooking expertise and let him give our Element Outfitter tip this week.
So the trick is, once you take these off the grill, you've got to tent them or cover them up, which is what we did here, cover them up in foil, and when you do that, lets them rest a little bit, and it gives a lot more moisture. You can see all the moisture inside this foil here is crazy. It's not that way if you take them off of the grill and cut them up immediately. Throw them in here, let them rest for a minute, and when you do, it's worth the wait.
It only took a few minutes for the meat to cook, but following Steve's advice, we let the meat sit for about 5 minutes covered in the tinfoil. Just as he said, the meat was very moist with great flavor. We all devoured the meat he cooked and enjoyed the strawberries and angel food cake dessert, and then quickly packed up so we could get back to fishing. Now that we've had a great meal prepared by Steve, we're going to head out on the river and see if we can't catch some fish. As we headed upriver, I realized that Josh was in for a new fly fishing experience. Fishing on the lake is one thing, but working a fly on the river could prove to be a little tougher for this new fly fishing, but already addicted angler. Rance taught him how to fish the hole, and Josh actually had a couple hits that he wasn't able to set the hook on. But Josh was still getting the idea and figuring it out fast. We let Brett work the next hole. While Brett and Josh fished with Rance, Carlos and Steve headed upriver to spread the group out a bit and started working some other promising holes. Steve has a passion for fly fishing and knows how to make things happen. He carefully worked into this good-looking spot and worked his magic until the inevitable happened. If you notice the gravel and such along the bank, it's there because they're in the process of creating better habitat and deeper holes to help the fish survive the long cold winters. It's still a work in progress with lots to do, but if you come here, you'll see that there are more than enough big fish to catch. With a hole that looked too good to pass up, Brett slowly worked in. At first nothing happened, but as he got closer to the top of the hole, his fly was smacked and the fish was on. As clear as the water was, it was easy to see that he had on a bruiser.
Nice. Oh. Nice.
Again, Rance and Carlos were able to get on the action as well, coaxing a few fish to take their flies. Now Josh was the only one that hadn't caught a trout yet. With a nice hole to work, I slipped over to see if he could make it happen. Behind us, Brett and the others were still hooking into their own fights, but it was Josh I wanted to see hook up next.
There we go.
When a trout smacked the grasshopper Josh had on, he hooked up. This was a big enough fish, Josh had to follow it downstream and play it out a little before finally landing the trout.
The last time I was up here on the show, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago. It's been a little while, and I wondered what it would fish like. I wondered what it'd be like, and I got to tell you, it exceeded expectations. Actually, the first time here was one of the best fishing experiences I ever had. This time, topped that. It was even better. To be able to cast dry flies out there on the lake like we did, even into the middle of the day and still have hookup after hookup and have a great time. Fishing can't be beat up here at Sheridan. It's pretty impressive, a neat place, a beautiful valley to see the surrounding around here. So 2 thumbs up for me.
This is just some incredible fishing out here. As you've seen, the fish fight really hard. There's lots of them and they're really big. You know, this is a great place if you want to bring your father out, maybe for a father's present, a friend, or take your son out and teach him how to fly fish. You know, if you really want a positive experience, you know, you can pay a little bit of money. You can come out here on your own. Pay like 150 bucks a person and fish, or you can get a guide and do that, and then you've got their expertise like we had today. They know what flies to use, where to fish, and all that kind of stuff. You're guaranteed you're going to catch a lot more fish. But either way, this is a great place to come up, spend a little bit of money, but have a fishing adventure that you're going to remember for a long time. Jared Scott Outdoors was brought to you by Camp Chef, the Idaho Falls and Pocatello Miracle Air Centers, Phil Meters Courtesy Ford, OK Trailer Sales in Shelley, and Stone Ridge Dental. Please remember to support our sponsors as they make this show possible. Tune in next week at the same time for another episode of Jared Scott Outdoors.